Last week we had a look around the garden as we approach the start of spring. We looked at the winter damage. This week we're going to have a good look around the greenhouse. I've not tidied up or anything. This is completely unfiltered video, no editing, as we take a look around the greenhouse. So it is now the start of meteorological spring, early March, and we are starting to see growth in some plants. So we'll do a tour and we'll go sort of around in this direction. The first thing you see is my propagator. In there I've just put some seeds. There's nothing showing yet, they've just gone in. We've got tomatoes, we've got cannas, and we've got Cleome spider flowers as well. They've just been in a couple of days and they're on about 20 degrees, 21 degrees. And they're nice and moist, the seeds in there. Got the propagator lids pretty much shut, and that's keeping the moisture in there. I've got a good compost mix, which I've actually got the components down here. So we've got coir, we've got vermiculite, perlite, and some peat-free seed compost as well. I'll mix all those up. This is a bowl I used in the potting area here. So I mix all them up. We get a nice free draining but also moisture retentive compost mixture, and that's what the seedlings have gone into. And then we've got vermiculite on the surface, so it keeps the surface moist and also lets the light in. Underneath we've got some plants that have just been overwintering. So we've got some cacti, we've got some palm trees down there. So they were brought in when we got to January, when we had a particularly cold spell down to -5, -6. And I brought them into the Gemini sectus down there, and there's also some bootias, some smaller bootias, and there's also a nice trachea. It's a Princeps Waggy hybrid in that pot. That could be fine outside, but I thought I've got the space, let's just bring it in. In the doorway, past all the mess, we've got an Haniba banana, got a couple of gingers, and they've stayed in leaf over winter. They're the evergreen types. And we pan round, we have got some Brugmansias, which I store like this, with no leaves on, but they've started to show some growth already. You can see on the end of that stem there. And they've been kept dry. They've not been watered at all so far since we brought in here in November. And we've also got some palms. We've got the coconut cross palm here. Well, I shouldn't call it that really. Give it its proper name, Paragebea sunca, which is in a big pot. Again, that's not really been watered. Got the fuchsia down here, Boliviensis. And then we've also got some musabajus that are just dug up and put in here, and you can see they're just starting to grow as well. And a ginger greeny eye down there, and down here I threw some seeds of aeonium, and you can see they've already come up over winter and they're growing all over this pot here. I sometimes do that, so if I've got any sort of extra seeds I'll just throw them into pots around the greenhouse and see what comes up. And quite often they do, like you can see there. And then let's go back to the main part of the greenhouse. So this has been kept over winter at about 7 degrees temperature, and then the heat beds and propagator is obviously much warmer at the roots, but the air temperature is about 7 degrees, which is heated, for those that don't know, by this heater up here. And we've got the thermostat over in the corner. It's currently at 12 degrees. On this side, the sunny side of the greenhouse, I've got most of my aeoniums, and these have not been watered at all over winter. And we're getting to the point now where they do need their first drink of the season. But it's not just aeoniums. We do have some agaves. Again, they've not been watered. We've got some echeveras, and we've also got some aloes down there as well. So these in summer stay in pots but go out by the side of the house to make a nice show. and they're doing, you know, they're doing okay. Obviously this time of year they've been trying to grow over winter a bit, but obviously there's not much sunlight, not much heat, so they're not looking at their best. But as you can see, the taller ones are fine. The ones that struggle the most are normally the more highly variegated ones, but there's a couple here looking, you know, still looking good. What else have we got? More aeoniums in the centre here. Here we've got a nice Schefflera that's fruited. So I'll be sowing those berries just by scattering them in the garden, and we'll see if they come up. And down where have we got? I'm sure I've got a pot of seedlings from last year. Here we've got one here. Let's have a look. That's a little seedling just in there from this plant here. We've got a little bird of paradise that I've grown from a tiny plant. It's still very small, but one day it might flower. It's got a long way to go yet. So that's the aeoniums and cacti. So I've been taking off a lot of the dead leaves, and they quickly or easily fall off. You just pull them off underneath like that and tidy them away. We've got lots of these begonia fuchsioides, and they've been growing and flowering all winter. That's a nice pink form there. That's a nice tall plant. And I've also got the red form, which is down here. Bright pillowbox red flowers, gorgeous thing. Been flowering all winter long. We've got this Briar Super Silver, which obviously is not very silver yet, and that's a good, that must be 15 years old now, and it's still very small and not done much. Here we have some begonia sea urchins, which I propagated from one plant last year, and I've got about 6 or 7 in pots around here that I just did little divisions of. They were in the propagator until last week, and I took them out so I had space to sow my seeds. More of that begonia fuchsioides. And then over this side we've got a couple of houseplants. We've got Monstera there. We've got mountain papaya up there, which needs a bigger pot. A bromeliad down there. And then we've got some seedlings of palm trees. We've got lots of Trachycarpus nanoseeds, which are down there. We've got some other things. Not everything's doing great because not everything will survive, especially this poor agave down there that's in the shade. It was too wet probably when it went down here. You can see the struggle, these ones down here. But others behind are looking okay. So we've got a mixed bag of fortunes. Nice aloe there. And another agave. And talking about aloes, we've got an aloe flowering. I think this is aloe arborescens, but I might be wrong. Look at that. That's flowering down there. Really nice leaves on that. So it's been slowly flowering, and that'll just start opening the bottom flowers, and it'll work the way from the bottom to the top. Another Musa Baju here. Basically, I didn't have time to wrap them in straw, so I just dug them up, which was a lot quicker. And because I have space in here, that worked out fine. And there's a Musa sycamensis over there as well. Now I'll turn around. This is my propagation or hot box. So this is a wooden frame with foam insulation at the base, filled with sand, which is kept watered, and then plants are put in here. So we've got all my tender cuttings. So again, these have survived with air temperatures about 7-8 degrees. Well, actually probably colder because this is further away from the heater, probably only about 4 or 5 at this end of the greenhouse at the coldest. But because the sand is heated, there's a heating element wire all the way through this bed here. It keeps the root temperature probably about 15 degrees, maybe a bit warmer. So it means these plectranthus and things can get through the winter. But they've not loved it in here because it has been obviously dark, even though I've got a nice big light above. And it's not always been watered as much as it should do. So some things have died off, especially the coleus down there. But the Plectranthus, the Iracine, totally fine, and some of the Coleus have done fine. Some have got through, just not all of them. Down there, again, some more Aeonium seeds that were sort of sowed back in, I want to say, October, November time. And you can see they've come through fine. And they've got some party time there, the pink and green variegation. And we've also got more cuttings that I'll be planting out. We need to pot these up because these are mainly in a compost of what I left over last year, which I think was sort of a John Innes style compost, which was very heavy actually, so not the best for potting these up. I should have used a more free draining mix. I'll just use up what there was. And up there, a very sorry for itself edible banana, which hopefully we'll get through. It is a proper test this, because it's under a nice grow light here, but it's much too cold for it really. It needs to be 15-18 degrees minimum, but with the roots heated I'm hoping it'll get through, and the top leaves are looking fine, so hopefully that'll be good and it'll start growing soon. I think we've looked at everything in here. What I would say, the next stage, what I need to do is start watering things. So on this side, these will start getting the first watering of the year, just a bit, and then feeding things. So especially the cuttings on here, they need a good feed. The light levels are getting better now as we approach proper spring. So I'll start a week feed, seaweed feed to begin with, for some stronger stuff in a month or two's time, and we'll get them sort of nice and ready for further cuttings off these mother plants and bulk up the smaller cuttings that I did as well. So that's everything we have in the greenhouse. Hope you've enjoyed this tour. If you've got any questions, just post them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them if I see them. So thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you all next week on Yorkshire Kris Exotic Gardening.